This man twisted himself like a twist. The orthopedic doctor shook his head. Even the Taoist priest from Longhu Mountain was scared away. The Taoist priest said he saw a big snake wrapped around the man. A few days ago, Huang Dachui found that the eggs at home had been stolen by a gluttonous snake. He was angry, so he carved some wooden eggs to teach it a lesson. But the gluttonous snake died of overeating. Huang Dachui felt that he had gone too far, so he buried the snake in the woods. But that night, his family found something was wrong with him. Huang Dachui's hands and feet were twisted to a strange angle. He couldn't say anything, and drool was flowing all over the floor. He looked extremely painful. Even the doctor shook his head. They invited a Taoist priest, but the Taoist priest turned around and left, saying he saw a snake wrapped around Huang Dachui. There was no way, so he asked his son to invite the old smoker to see. After hearing this, the old smoker felt unsure. He wanted to refuse, but couldn't resist the many things offered by Dachui's son, so he agreed. He first went to the general store to buy ingots and paper money. Then he went to the place where the snake was buried. Liao Yanye planned to burn some paper and money for the snake, and have a good chat. But before he could say a few words, a whirlwind blew up in front of him. A big snake emerged from the smoke. The big snake was the parent of the little snake. She said Huang Dachui killed her son, and he would not make peace. The old smoker grabbed his shotgun to subdue the snake. The snake saw it. "Oh, are you here to negotiate, or threatening?" The two talked more and more urgently. The snake became angrier and turned around and gave the smoker a tail. The old smoker thought the snake was like a fool and started to fight without saying a word. In a hurry, he could only hold the gun across his chest. Even so, the old smoker felt that. He felt like he had been hit by a high-speed train and flew out and hit a tree. This time, he was hit hard. His head was buzzing. When he woke up, he saw a person standing behind the snake. After the man took off his hat, he recognized it as the rat spirit who escaped last time. Lao Yanyan never expected that these two guys had actually teamed up. And they really became a pair. The rat spirit was so angry that it screamed when it saw Liao Yanyan and rushed up to beat the old man to death. Liao Yanyan raised his gun and took a headshot and directly hit the rat spirit's forehead. This confused the snake. He didn't expect the rat spirit to be so fragile, so it rushed up with its two big teeth. Liao Yanyan repeated his trick and shot the gun. The snake twisted its body to avoid the vital parts and bit the barrel of the gun. With a hard swing, Lao Yanyan was thrown out again. Knowing that he couldn't fight the snake head-on, so he had to outsmart it. Lao Yanyan got up and ran. He deliberately led the snake to a place full of tree branches. The snake was on the top and didn't think much of it, so it chased after him. After running for a while, Liao Yanyan turned around to look at the snake, although it was still chasing, but was scratched all over by the tree branches. Sure enough, before the snake left the woods, it let out a miserable cry and stopped moving. After killing the snake, Liao Yanyan hurried to Dachui's house, afraid that it was too late to save people. But when he reached the place where he fought the rat spirit, the big rat on the ground just disappeared. Lao Yanyan realized that the big rat might be feigning death. He picked up his gun and walked out cautiously. After a few steps, he saw 4 people riding red horses running towards him. The 4 were shouting, telling Liao Yanyan to leave the place quickly. Before he could react, he felt his feet empty and fell into a hole. The old man had just experienced a fierce battle and wanted to take a break and log out, but felt his feet go empty and directly fell into a hole. The hole looked not small. Before he could figure out what was going on, a large number of mice swarmed around him densely. Lao Yanyan felt his scalp go numb, so he raised his gun and shot. But there were too many mice, and fast. Lao Yanyan could only use his gun as a club to play golf. Just when Liao Yanyan felt exhausted, he heard Situ calling him from above, and threw a whip down. Liao Yanyan caught the whip and took a look. He realized it was the one he made. That rat whip. He raised the whip and swung it. It worked surprisingly well, which scared the mice from approaching. He swung it a few more times. The mice group was scared and turned around to go home. Liao Yanyan was about to breathe a sigh of relief, but the rat spirit that was blown up appeared again. The big mouse was covered in blood, with wide open eyes, saying he would kill the old smoker. The old smoker knew this guy was difficult to deal with. He quickly loaded and aimed at the rat. The rat spirit dodged with a flash and slashed with a paw. The old smoker used his gun to hit, but the shotgun was directly split in half, and his chest was scratched and bloody. The rat spirit succeeded and rushed up again. Fortunately, the roof collapsed, blocking them. Just then, someone upstairs threw down a rope, telling Liao Yanyan to climb up quickly. Liao Yanyan saw that it was the koi boy he had once saved, so he grabbed the rope and climbed up. Only after climbing up, he knew that the collapse just now was caused by the dance of Ci2 and Da Hong Ma that caused the noise. Seeing that Liao Yanye was seriously injured, Jinli quickly helped him leave there. As they left, the entire forest behind them collapsed. It turned out that the ground had been hollowed out by rats. Ci2 told Lao Yinyi and told him to go back to the house to treat the wound. The old smoker entered the room. He saw that Dachui had recovered. He was about to persuade him not to hurt others again, but before he finished, he felt his eyes go black and fell to the ground. When he woke up again, he was already at his own home. He looked up and saw Mrs. Huang, and Situ and Jinli were also nearby. Lao Yanya hurriedly got up to thank her. Huang said that Ci2 sensed that Laoyan was in trouble, so he called him and Koi to help. But this time, he offended the Hui family. Maybe the big rat will come again someday, even if he can help for a while, nor forever. The old lady thought for a long time. She thought only the old smoker could save his life. Grandpa Huang had already seen that. Zidu intended to be the family deity of Laoyan, so he let the old smoker come out. Then family turned into a yellow smoke and left. Jinli saw that it had nothing to do with him, and turned into a red smoke and left. Lao Yanya didn't know what it means to be a deity, so he asked Situ for help. Ci2 didn't hesitate and asked him to offer a fairy seat for himself. He helped Laoyan to open his mind, and it was done. And Chuankyo is to open up the 7 meridians and 8 channels, and enhance his perception. Quandio, the immortal, can possess his body, but he has to suffer from a serious illness during he recovers. He can be a deity. At that time, the old smoker will no longer be the old smoker. The old man put the hook into the water. The water automatically avoided the hook, and ran to both sides. If you don't know, they would think the Sea King is back on his golden-eyed beast. The old smoker survived a near-death experience and gained 100. His immortal fate is not ordinary good. He just recovered from his illness. Someone came to him again. The man was a fisherman from Sanjianku. He came to ask the old smoker to catch the fish spirit. Situ asked the old smoker to take the commission. He felt that this mission might cure the smoker's eyes. Following Situ-2's advice, went to the boiler operator, Lao Huang, to borrow a family heirloom fire hook. The hook had been used for hundreds of years, and it has been used for a long time. Then he took the hook and went to the sea. The smoker pressed the hook into the water. The water automatically flashed to both sides. The smoker was surprised and happy. He didn't expect this hook to have this function. He even suspected that this hook had been in Taisheng Laojian's alchemy furnace. The old smoker held the hook and kept walking forward, searching for the big fish mentioned by the fisherman. He walked deeper and deeper. He suddenly felt something in the water beside him. Swam towards him. He turned around. Oh my God! A fish as big as a house, and bit at him with its teeth bared. The old smoker moved to the side with a light step. The crocodile missed with its tail, and then slapped him again. The old smoker didn't have time to dodge. He used the hook to block in front of him. As a result, when the crocodile's tail touched the hook, it was burned and produced black smoke. The big fish was flattened, seeing the old man fighting with a hook, and turned away. The old smoker knew the hook was good at hurting the big fish, so he was confident. Seeing the crocodile wanted to run, he chased after it with the hook in his hand. The crocodile's tail was missing a piece. It couldn't swim fast and was soon caught up by the smoker. The big fish was probably confused. How could this old guy still split water? Is he the king of the sea? The old smoker caught up with the crocodile and swung the hook to stab it. The big fish jumped in pain. The old smoker seized the opportunity and directly gave it a blow from below, cut open the belly. He slashed out with a hook, and the contents of the fish's stomach spilled out. The big fish next to him secretly said he was under the big fish's eyes. He dug out a white bead. Then he quickly went ashore, because the hook was failing. If he went back late, he would be buried with the big fish. Back on shore, Situ said the white bead was a fish spirit, which can clear the eyes, and asked the old smoker to eat it. Soon, the old smoker went blind. His left eye felt abnormal, and his left eye slowly grew an iris. Although he still couldn't see food, but it had other uses. The old man went out for a walk when he was full. He went out and saw a man in his 30s, riding a broom, flying behind the man, and a shadow was following behind him. This man is Li Zhongping, and was a fool in the village. The old smoker thought he was seeing things, but the thorn in his mind said he saw it too. There was indeed a ghost attached to him. It turned out that after the old smoker's left eye upgraded, he could see those unclean things. When he was 10 years old, he had a serious illness, and later became like this. It turned out that he was haunted by a ghost. The smoker couldn't stand the loneliness and wanted to do things. He first went to Li Zhongping's house to inquire. Then he went to his friend. He found out the whole story after inquiring. It turned out that Li Zhongping, he had offended something he shouldn't have. When he was 10 years old, Li Zhongping and his friends went to the mountain to play. They saw a dead body, who was a premature baby. Li Zhongping, a naughty boy, he deliberately poked it with a stick, and finally took a bell from the dead child. As a result, he had a high fever the next day and burned his brain. The old smoker figured it out. Li Zhongping took something from the ghost, so he was always followed by the ghost. People who didn't know thought it was a fever that burned his brain. Knowing the reason, it was easy to solve. After whispering to CI2, they went to Li Zhongping's house. Near noon, Li Zhongping was taking a nap. The old smoker asked Li Zhongping's mother to make a bowl of chicken blood, and asked Li Zhongping's father to tie him up, and gave him the fishing net he brought, and told him its function. At noon, the old smoker threw the bell into the chicken blood, and the bowl was instantly filled with black gas. Then, a child's painful cry came from the room. When the old smoker went in to see, a black shadow was crawling out of Li Zhongping's mouth. The shadow was screaming and running out. The old smoker took the opportunity. He covered Li Zhongping with the fishing net. Looking outside, the shadow kept trying to take out the bell in the chicken blood. But when it touched the chicken blood, a part of its body dissipated. Plus the direct sunlight, the shadow became more and more illusory. Finally, the shadow couldn't stand the sunlight. It flew back into the house. It wanted to return to Li Zhongping, but when it touched the fishing net and was bounced out, the old smoker was enjoying it. He heard the bowl in the yard explode. Meanwhile, the shadow also let out a scream and turned into a puff of smoke and disappeared. The old smoker knew the shadow had been sent away. He explained some affairs to Li Zhongping's mother and left without looking back. Sure enough, a real man never looks back. But before he got back, he heard the news that Situ was about to leave. Can you imagine? Even immortals can be tricked, and was tricked twice. The family was sleeping soundly. A man with a crew cut suddenly flashed into the house. He said he was a fairy from the mountain, and he had a crush on the girl, and hoped to have sex in 3 days. He hoped they wouldn't be ungrateful. The family was crying hard. Then a little prick suddenly appeared. The thorn head said he was a fairy from the mountain. The family was a bit confused. Do you also like my daughter? The thorn quickly explained that he was here to help. It turned out that Pingtao is the sworn brother of the Thornhead during his practice. This Pingtu is a bit arrogant. He finally gained some skills, so he hurried down the mountain to snatch girls. The sworn brother tried to persuade him, but they ended up falling out. Situ had no choice, so he had to come up with a plan. After whispering, he disappeared in a flash. 3 days later, the family prepared mautai and dishes, waiting for the arrival of the flat-headed brother. It's a wedding ceremony, but secretly, they invited all the village's young men, hiding in the dark. At night, the brokeback came on time. The bride's parents forced a smile and treated him with good wine and food. It turned out that the bro wasn't only lustful. He sat down when he smelled the wine and kept drinking 1 cup after another. The guy's alcohol tolerance is also amazing. He didn't fall down after drinking 3 jars of mutai. He blushed and staggered in, wanting to consummate the marriage. He pushed the door open. He looked at the kang. The bride was wearing a red dress, sitting upright on the kang, which made people anxious. Pingtouch felt hot all over, and his lust rose, so he wanted to pounce on her, but he only stared at the bride, but didn't notice there was a trap for catching bears on the floor. Pingtu didn't see it. He stepped on it, and immediately let out a pig-like cry. His face, which was just flushed, instantly turned purple. As soon as he cried out, the young man in the next room rushed out, and rushed out with pots and pans. They were ruthless. There are several bachelors in our village. You, a slut, what are you doing here? Pingtu was annoyed. This is really a fairy meeting a fairy jump, and chased him out of the village. One of them, and hit the flathead with a stick, which directly knocked him out. The Pingtu brother was helpless. He could only run away by farting. The other villagers were choked by the fart, so they could only let him run away. After that, the honey badger hid. To recover, everyone knows that the little guy is very vengeful. It took him 7 years to recover. The first thing he did was to seek revenge on the thorn. That's when Satu hid at the old smoker's house. Until now. But now the mongoose is coming to find him again. CI2 is ready to run away again. The old smoker thought that CI2 brought his wife and children. And hiding like this is not a solution. So he wanted to help CI2 solve this trouble. CI2 thinks the old smoker is just an old man, which is far from enough, but he had to admit the old man's fairy charm. Maybe he can really settle it. After whispering, CI2 decided to give it a try. The next day, the old smoker and the thorn arrived at the appointed place early. Satu stood solemnly in the middle of the road waiting, while the old smoker hid and played the sixth man. Soon, the flathead also arrived. He gritted his teeth and started cursing from afar and wanted to eat him alive. When they fought, Laoyan realized why Satu wanted to run. He could only be beaten in the face of the bro. After a few hits, the thornhead was beaten up a lot. Satu raised his arm, 3 saving thorns flew towards the bro's eyes. The little hand of the broke guy easily deflected it. But this move also angered the bro. He grabbed the thorn's collar and was ready to punch him in the head. The thorn saw an opportunity. He grabbed the brother's clothes and pulled hard, revealing a large tumor on his abdomen. Seeing the exposed flesh, he quickly covered it with his hands. Seeing the opportunity, he signaled the old smoker to act quickly. The smoker narrowed his eyes and with a bang, he hit the big tumor. At this moment, the bro was regretful. He should have listened to the sixth brother's advice. A fairy was jumped twice by the same person. With the tumor being shattered, Pingtouge also gradually revealed his true form. Originally, immortals in cultivation have a pill, also called the life gate. Some are in the body, while others are outside, and this tumor is the life gate of the bro. The hedgehog's cultivation was forced to return to its original form, so he ran into the grass. The thorn head solved its nemesis, and it was rare to laugh. But his face was deformed, which looks really ugly when he smiles. In a good mood, Saidu wanted to go back to his hometown. But when he left, the old smoker lost his advisor. Trouble came. These 2 thieves must have watched Tianlong Babu. They not only know the soul-absorbing, but also the Lingbo microstep. When they run, Qiaofeng in his prime probably couldn't catch up. The smoker is bored, wandering around in the middle of the night. He saw 2 people sneaking and carrying a big wooden box, so he asked them what they were doing, hearing someone, and ran away directly. The old smoker just wanted to chase, but when he looked up, they had already run a long way. Wow, they weren't running. They used flash and flash run. The smoker thought he missed the 2 and was delirious, so he didn't take it seriously. But the next morning, Wang Dachui came to the old smoker. He said his son couldn't be woken up no matter how he called. He felt something was wrong, so he came to ask the old smoker. The smoker tilted his head and said, "Are you stupid? The child is sick. You should go to the hospital. Why are you looking for me?" Wang Dachui also realized it, so he turned around and went home to take the child to hospital. It seems that the old smoker has a great reputation. He was a little anxious. They are neighbors. Lao Yankui was worried, so he followed. Just as Wang Dachui and his wife took the child to the hospital, Lao Yanhu also followed. The doctor did all the checks, but found no problem. Seeing this situation, he thought that he must have lost his soul. He also thought of the 2 thieves he saw last night. He thought it was not simple. After comforting Wang Dachui and his wife, he prepared to go home and think of a solution. At night, Lao Yankui took his shotgun and went out. He had a hunch Wang Zhaochui's matter must be related to those 2. And those 2 would appear again. He went to the houses with children. When he just turned into an alley, sure enough, the 2 men who carried the box appeared again. The old smoker shouted to stop them, but they didn't stop, but ran faster instead. Seeing that he couldn't catch up, so he pulled out his gun and shot. The shot hit the man's buttocks. The man was in pain and ran faster, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The old smoker looked down at the ground. He was shocked. Sure enough, it was a hairy monster, but he couldn't tell what it was. Although the 2 men escaped, but the smoker followed the bloodstain. He planned to find those 2 people. Following the bloodstain, the smoker chased all the way to the foot of the mountain outside the village. The bloodstain ended here, and he was about to lose them. The old smoker was worried. He looked up and saw an old man in yellow smoking on a rock. An old man in yellow was smoking a dry pipe. The old smoker hurried forward to inquire about them. The old man in yellow was surprised that the smoker could see him. and told the smoker where the two had gone. But your old legs can't catch up with them. Don't you have a BMW at home? You might have a chance if you drive it. The smoker just realized. He realized that he had met a master in the middle of the night, and bowed to ask for advice. The old man was not polite, saying his home is behind the woods, and asked the smoker to go there tomorrow night. He asked the smoker to borrow something. Just wait for them with the thing. The smoker thanked him quickly. When he looked up, the old smoker looked up, but the old man was gone. The next day, someone came to ask the smoker for help, saying the child couldn't be woken up. The old smoker comforted them that the child would be fine tonight, and told them to wait for news at home, and also brought a message to Huang Dachui's home. At night, the old smoker filled the BMW and left. With gas. At the appointed place, he saw a small earth temple in the open space. There was a clay statue in the temple. The clay figure looked exactly like the old man in yellow. It turned out to be a local god. The smoker looked on the ground for a long time. He didn't see any decent weapons. He only saw a yellow brick. Could the artifact that the land god said to lend him was this brick? The smoker put the brick in his pocket and led the horse to hide in the woods. A few minutes later, two men carrying a box indeed ran over from afar. This is a brick. It was begged from the old immortal. It can attack and defend. With the brick, I have the world. The old smoker carefully put it in his arms before turning around and leaving. But at this moment, two people carrying a box rushed over from afar. The old smoker quickly jumped on his horse and followed them all the way until he reached a mountain crack. The old smoker stopped and looked into the crack. He thought to himself, why didn't there was such a crack in this big black mountain? He groped his way inside. At the end, he found a stone staircase. The two opened the wooden box. A little boy stood up in the box, and a fat old woman was sitting in the middle, with a wide grin and full of acne. The fat old lady invited the boy to eat. The boy's eyes were white, and walked to the table with drool. There was a fruit plate on the stone table, and some gold and silver jewelry. The old smoker was observing from outside the cave, but was accidentally discovered. The man shouted a few times, and several people surrounded him menacingly. The old smoker saw that he was discovered, so he just walked out. I said I was just passing by. Do you believe it? The fat old lady wasn't angry, and invited him to eat. The smoker went over to take a look. Oh my God! His left eye saw rotten fruits and stones, but the right eye saw fruits and gold and silver jewelry. The smoker didn't dare to eat. Instead, he walked up to the child and shouted, "Didn't you say you were going to pee outside? Why did you come here?" Then he slapped the fruit out of his hand, and then scolded the other two boys. After the old smoker scolded them, and the three children hung their heads and started to leave, the old smoker kept cursing. He wanted to take advantage of the fat old lady to take them back. But after a few steps, he was stopped by the fat old lady. As the fat old lady yelled, her men stopped them. The old smoker pretended to be fierce. The old smoker saw that. He knew he couldn't play dumb. He held his weapon in front of his chest. With a command from the fat old lady, several minions pounced on him together. The smoker knew these guys were not human at all. He took a backward stance and shot. The man at the front was shot and flew out, howling and turning into a big wild boar. It was the one whose tail was cut off. No wonder he was the most active. The others were scared by the gunshot and revealed their true forms. They were all animals like foxes and wild boars. Seeing her minions scared away and trembled with anger, suddenly she opened her mouth wide. A big tongue was thrown out. The old smoker blocked it. The tongue wrapped around the gun. The fat old lady pulled hard, and the old smoker's gun was taken away. The fat old lady became more and more angry. Her face split open from the middle, revealing a dark green thing inside, with white pus oozing out of it. It turned out that the fat old lady was a big toad. It was surprisingly big. The toad opened its mouth, and the big tongue swung towards the smoker again. The old smoker dodged to the side and stepped on its tongue. The toad felt and pulled back. The old smoker fell down with a thud. The old smoker shouted, telling the kids to run back quickly. Seeing the children were about to run, and spat out its tongue at the children again. The old smoker wanted to stop them, but he had no tools. At this time, he remembered the brick in his pocket, and with all his strength, and smashed it at the big tongue. It hit the tongue right on. The toad had to retract its tongue in pain. It was the fairy spirit that hit it. The toad monster kept bleeding from its mouth. The old smoker knew that the brick was not ordinary, so he negotiated with the toad. The toad was so angry that it puffed up its cheeks and shook, and the bumps on its body began to ooze white pulp. Then it lifted its butt and kicked his legs, spraying the white liquid towards the smoker. The old smoker dodged, and the white pulp was all over the stone, causing the stone to emit white smoke. The old smoker swallowed his saliva, thinking if it hit his face, he would really become an old smoker. Not hitting, the big toad puffed up its cheeks again. The old smoker couldn't let him repeat the same trick and swung the brick to smash it. The brick hit the toad on the head with a thud. The toad groaned, and its body shrank by a circle. The old smoker was happy. This brick is really a treasure. Without waiting for the big toad to react, he bent down and picked up the brick. He directly jumped up from the spot and smashed it down with all his might. The old smoker smashed it with a crack. Every time he hit, the big toad shrinks by one circle. He didn't stop until the brick was smashed to pieces. Looking at the toad, it was already of normal size, but still wanted to stick out its butt and squirt white liquid. The old smoker directly kicked it and made it a toad. Without the toad's magic power, the cave began to shake violently, and stones kept falling. The old smoker didn't care about the toad. He desperately ran out of the cave. He looked back. The mountain crack had closed again. He found that all the children were there, so he drove a BMW to take the children home. Hearing that the children had woken up, he felt that his efforts were not in vain. Just as he was riding his horse to go back and have a good sleep, he was stopped by a little guy. The little guy squatted on the ground and kept bowing, as if asking him for something.